Welcome back, FinScribblers. Today, we are diving into a classic lesson of unintended consequences, a global economic maneuver that totally backfired. Picture this. Governments around the world decided to finally stand their ground against foreign competition. Their plan was incredibly simple. Slap massive, aggressive 50% tariffs on essential industrial materials like steel and copper to protect local businesses. On paper, this was supposed to bring manufacturing right back home and shut down global trade pipelines once and for all. Surely a giant tax would make everyone stop buying foreign goods, right? Well, not exactly. Instead of halting trade, these high tariffs kicked off a massive $700 billion game of international hide and seek. Today, Maya and Jordan are going to show you how aggressive trade barriers actually failed to stop the global flow of goods and instead made shipping companies filthy, stinkingly rich. Let's break down this absolute economic mess. To understand why this strategy failed so spectacularly, let's look at a simple whiteboard analogy. Imagine a raging, powerful river representing the natural flow of global trade. Jordan is a proud politician standing on the bank, wearing a hard hat and building a giant stone wall labeled tariff barrier right across the middle of the water. Jordan smiles warmly, believing he has solved the trade problem forever, because obviously water will just pack up and go home when blocked. But Maya, standing nearby with a shovel, knows better. Maya quickly digs a deep side canal right around Jordan's wall, labeled third-party rerouting. The rushing water doesn't stop for a single second. It simply detours around the barrier, flowing happily down Maya's new canal. This is exactly what happened in the real world when high tariffs were introduced. The massive stream of global capital simply bypassed the restrictions entirely. So, who exactly are the real-world equivalents of Maya's clever side canal? Meet Mexico and Vietnam, the ultimate champions of the detour economy. Jordan represents a factory owner who cannot buy cheap raw materials directly anymore because of the new rules. Does Jordan give up? Of course not. Instead, he routes his massive shipments of raw steel and copper through Vietnam first. Maya, acting as a local factory worker in Vietnam, happily unboxes the heavy materials, slaps a brand new Made in Vietnam sticker on the side, and boxes them right back up. Suddenly, these heavily restricted high tariff goods are legally rebranded as tariff-free exports, making their way smoothly across the border. These intermediary nations have essentially become a massive, highly structured tariff evasion pipeline, allowing global trade to continue completely unbothered, while technically playing perfectly by the exact letter of the law. Now, you might think this detouring is just a minor annoyance, but let's talk about the real winners of this massive backfire. When goods have to travel thousands of extra miles to bypass restrictions, who benefits the most? None other than the giant shipping conglomerates, who are absolutely laughing all the way to the bank. Jordan is shown as a shipping captain at the helm of an enormous cargo ship, wearing sunglasses and literally tossing large fistfuls of cash into the ocean. Beside him, Maya is tracking the coordinates, showing how a direct shipping route was stretched into a wild, multi-port journey across several oceans. More miles traveled means more fuel burned, more cargo containers rented, and skyrocketing shipping freight rates. The very policies designed to restrict trade and keep capital local ended up triggering the largest wealth transfer to global shippers in modern economic history. This brings us to the ultimate victim in this $700 billion deglobalization backfire, the everyday consumer. When manufacturers are forced to pay for longer shipping routes and extra processing fees, they do not just absorb those massive costs out of the goodness of their hearts. Instead, Jordan represents a retail store owner who is rapidly changing price tags on everyday goods, making them much more expensive. Maya is shown holding a small shopping basket with a single loaf of bread and a copper pipe, looking completely shocked by the massive receipt trailing out of the cash register. The politicians promised that these tariffs would protect domestic interests and keep hard-earned money safely within the country. Instead, consumers are stuck paying a massive, highly unfair hidden tax on literally everything, all to maintain the absolute illusion that these aggressive trade barriers are actually working. So, what is the grand lesson of this multi-billion-dollar loophole? Simply put, global capital is like water. It will always find a way to flow, no matter how high of a wall you build in its path. You can write all the restrictive laws you want, but the market's natural drive for efficiency and profit is far more powerful than any political decree. Jordan and Maya are shown standing side by side, tearing down the paper tariff barrier and using the scraps to fold neat little origami paper boats. They place their boats into the newly cleared, fast-flowing river, watching them sail smoothly into the horizon. True deglobalization is incredibly hard to achieve in an interconnected world because isolation is almost always a losing economic strategy. Thank you for watching, FinScribblers. Stay curious, keep analyzing, and we will see you next time. As always, appreciate you hanging out today. See you in the next one.